But joint variation, if x varies directly with both y and z, then x equals kyz. That's a direct variation, by the way. Again, k is just the constant of joint variation. But sometimes what they're going to do is they're going to mix direct variation with indirect variation. So if x varies directly with y, then you'd have x equals ky, but if it also indirectly varies with z, then you get, it would have been x equals k over z. So we can combine those. We don't need two constants of joint variation. It's just k is the individual constant of variation on that. Now, you'll have to think about this too, because in this particular situation where it's worded, sometimes what they'll do is they'll switch the letters on us, okay? So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, find y varies directly with, instead of y there, you'd have an x and a z right there, something like that. In that case, your y would equal kx over z. So you got to be careful with the way these are worded. That's a z. But in addition to that, you have to be able to solve for k, because you're going to need the k on these, right? So I'm going to start with our original here. If we were to solve this for k, not fork, what we would do is the first thing I'd probably do here is multiply both sides by z. That would make that a phantom 1. Then you'd have zx equals ky. And then I'd say divide both sides by k so that you have just the y. So divide both sides by y. So at least you can solve for just the k. Now you've got k, because that's a phantom 1, equals zx over y. Kind of ran out of space there. A little bit better. Just keep that in mind. You'll probably have to solve for the k value first, and then you can apply that k to the new values that they give you, because they'll always give you a set, and then they'll say, find the missing value in the next set. Suppose z varies directly as x and inversely as y squared, and it's okay that it's a y squared on that. So the y squared thing, just know that's going to be part of what we end up looking at, okay? Now, z varies with that other stuff, so my formula, if you will, give me z equals some stuff, okay? Now, it varies, first it says it varies directly with x, so that means I would have to take my constant of joint variation, and I would have to multiply it by x. Then, it also says it varies inversely with y squared, so that means that I'd have to have a y divide by the y squared. Now, this is my formula for z. So, now, I need that constant of joint variation right there. So I'm going to manipulate this equation, just kind of like we saw on that last slide. I don't want that denominator there, so I'd at least start by multiplying both sides by y squared. And again, the reason what that does, it makes that a phantom 1. Now I've got yz. Don't forget the square part on that, thank you. Y squared times z, thank you, equals the k times the x. There we go. Yes, that's correct. So we're only one last principle of equality way to solve for the k. Simply divide both sides by x. So now I know that k is the same as taking your y, squaring it, timesing it by the z, and dividing it by x. So the k, right, we do have some values that we started out with. Right here. So I guess I'll do these in blue. So I do have a z value there that's 4, so I take my z from the k. I'm just solving for k, right? So I'm take the z, replace it with 4. I have an x value that's 2, so replace the x there in the denominator with 2. And then the y value is 3. Again, this is going to go in as 3 squared, though. All right, let's go to the calculator then. So 3 squared times 4 divided by 2, 18 is what I got. The constant of joint variation here is 18. Okay, now that I have that, I'm ready to solve for the missing z value. So I got to go back to this original. So I'm going to write it again. Go. I didn't forget the square this time. So z equals kx over y squared, and we have those values. I'm doing it in orange. It says solve for z when x is 9 and y is 6. So I've got the x value. X is 9. And I got a y value, which is 6. And we can use this formula because we did already find the k value, which is 18. So in my calculator, I've got 18 times 9 divided by, it's 6 squared. So don't forget the square, because I almost did that one time. And I get a z in this one. That is, I got 4.5. If you want the fraction, just push that double arrow button above enter, you get 9/2. But either one of these would work for your z value.